Okay, let's do this. Hello, people. Another beautiful day or night. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Hope your health and strength is good. What? Anyway, what's up, gamers? Alright. What do I got for you here? Okay, two articles. One talks about European consumers, 3 out of 4 agree to the Activision Blizzard deal, right? But this one now is Microsoft heads for battle with FTC over 68.7 billion Activision Blizzard deal. Says here, Microsoft is headed for a battle with the U.S. government over whether regulators will block the tech giant planned takeover video game company Activision Blizzard. Microsoft on Thursday filed a formal response to the Federal Trade Commission, claimed that the 68.7 billion deal is an illegal acquisition that should be stopped. Says here, after years of avoiding political backlash that has been directed at big tech peers such as Amazon and Google, the software giant now appears to be on a collision course with U.S. regulators, emboldened by President Joe Biden, pushed to get tough on anti-competitive behavior. The FTC claims the merger could violate antitrust laws by suppressing competitors to Microsoft Xbox Game Pass console and its growing Xbox Game Pass subscription business. First subtopic: tug of war over Call of Duty games. At the center of the dispute is Microsoft's rivalry with PlayStation maker Sony to secure popular Activision Blizzard franchise like the military shooter game Call of Duty. Microsoft's response to the FTC tries to downplay Xbox's role in the industry, describing itself as the third-place manufacturer of the gaming console behind Sony and Nintendo. That is true. They're in third place. And one of the just many publisher of popular video games with next to no presence in mobile gaming, where it is trying to make gains. Activision Blizzard filed its own rebuttal to the FTC complaint on Thursday, criticizing what is described as the FTC unfounded assumption that Microsoft would want to withhold Call of Duty from platforms that competes with Xbox. Activision CEO Bobby Kotick said he believes the companies will prevail. When Microsoft bought Mojang, the creators of Minecraft is on almost every platform, so the FTC is wrong on this point. But anyway, says here, the dispute could be a difficult test case for Biden-appointed FTC chair Lina Khan, who has sought to strengthen enforcement of antitrust rules. The FTC voted 3-1 earlier in December to issue the complaint seeking to block the deal, with Khan and 2 other Democratic commissioners voting in favor and the sole Republican voting against. The deal is also under close scrutiny in the European Union and the United Kingdom, where investigations aren't due to be completed until next year, 2023. Says, with Activision ownership comes monopoly. You know what that sounds like? The Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. But anyway, let me keep going here. It says the FTC complaint to point Microsoft 2021 acquisition of well-known game developer Bethesda Software and its parent company ZeniMax as an example of where Microsoft is making some upcoming game titles exclusive to Xbox, despite assuring European regulators it had no intention to do so. If you're going to make that claim, FTC, then you need to talk to Sony about Final Fantasy and why is it always exclusive to PlayStation. But anyway, Microsoft on Thursday objected to the FTC characterization, saying it made clear to the European regulators it would approach exclusivity for future game titles on a case-by-case basis, which is exactly what it has done. The FTC suit described top-selling franchise like Call of Duty as important because they develop a base of loyal users attached to their preferred console or streaming service. They need to ask Sony what happened to Killzone, Resistance, and SOCOM. But anyway, it says here, with control of Activision content, Microsoft would have the ability and increased incentive to withhold or degrade Activision content in the way that substantially lessens competition, including competition on products, quality, price, and innovation. The FTC lawsuit says this loss of competition would likely result in significant harm to consumers in multiple markets at a pivotal time of the industry. First of all, Microsoft never said they were going to withhold Call of Duty from PlayStation. They never did. This is the FTC making false claims. Their arguments is false. But anyway, let me keep going. It says Microsoft signaled that it will vigorously fight the case in court with a team led by high-profile corporate attorney Beth Wilkinson, while also leaving open the possibility of a settlement. Even with confidence in our case, we remain committed to create a solution with regulators that will protect competition, consumers, and workers in the tech sector, said Microsoft President Brad Smith in a statement Thursday. As we learned from our lawsuit in the past, the door never closed on the opportunity to find an agreement that can benefit everyone. Previous antitrust battles. Now they want to bring up the past. Says Microsoft's last big antitrust battle occurred more than 2 decades ago when a federal judge ordered it break up following the company's anti-competitive action related to its dominant Windows software. That verdict was overturned on appeals, although the court imposed other penalties on the company. The FTC decision to send the complaint to its in-house administrative law judge, D. Michaels Chappelle, instead of seeking an urgent federal court injunction to halt the merger, could drag the case out at least until August, when the first evidence hearing is scheduled. Microsoft's agreement with Activision Blizzard requires it pays the video game company a breakup fee of up to $3 billion if it can't close the deal before July 18th. The timing of the trajectory of the case could change depending on how regulators in the UK and Europe rule on the merger next year. If Microsoft wins approval in Europe, it could use that to try expedite the process in U.S. court. The merger faced yet another challenge this week from a group of individual video game players who sued in San Francisco federal court to stop the deal on antitrust grounds. They have no case. But anyway, it says here, the plaintiff, all fans of Activision Blizzard Call of Duty franchise and other popular titles such as World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and Diablo, are particularly concerned about how the consolidation would affect future game qualities, innovation, and output, said their attorney Joseph Alito. It says, when there's a lack of competition, the quality necessarily goes down, Alito says. By eliminating Activision, it gives such a strong position to Microsoft that they can do whatever they want. And that's the end of the article. Look, look, like I told you people before, the video game industry does not stop just because you buy a studio. When EA was buying all those studios, did the video game industry stop? No, the video game industry kept moving. When Sony had exclusive rights to Street Fighter 5. Did the video game industry stop? Did competition stop? No. Why? Because you had Tecmo with Dead or Alive. You had Namco with Soul Calibur 5 and 6. You had Sega with Virtual Fighter. You had Arc System with Guilty Gears and Dragon Ball Z Fighters. And then you had Microsoft with Killer Instinct. So competition don't stop. So the lawsuit that they're trying to file against Microsoft, they really have no they really don't have a real argument. They really don't have a real argument, because the video game industry is like the ocean. It's like the ocean waves in the ocean. It keeps moving and it keeps growing. And one of the when you have all these game shows like TGS or Summerfest or E3 or Game Developer Conference, those seminars are all about networking. You got all kind of people in those seminars trying to get their foot in the door, and they're trying to start a game studio, and they're trying to find, they're trying to trying to get into video games. So those places are like where you would network with other people and try to start a studio from. And the game industry doesn't stop just because you buy a studio. And Microsoft never said that when they bought Activision Blizzard, that Call of Duty is not going to be on PlayStation. They never said that. If Microsoft put Minecraft on Nintendo consoles and PlayStation, what makes you think they're going to stop Call of Duty from coming to PlayStation, especially when the user base is big? They're not planning on. They never said that. That's just the FTC making fake arguments. Making a false claim, and saying that they're going to keep Call of Duty to themselves. They never said that. They just said they just bought Activision Blizzard. They just bought Activision Blizzard, and that's the end of that. Sony had, when Activision Blizzard was going through their turmoil, Sony had rights to Call of Duty. And if you played Warzone on Call of Duty, if you played Warzone on PlayStation or Xbox, you would notice that you will get rewarded more on PlayStation than you do Xbox. Okay, there was a lot of perks that the PlayStation was getting that Xbox players weren't getting. And when the issue with Activision came up, Sony and Nintendo never stepped in to do anything. They just sat there thinking everything was good. It wasn't, and Microsoft came in and got them. So, this doesn't, the Activision Blizzard deal, when it's all said and done, it doesn't stop video games. The video game industry will always continue to grow, because and it won't stop competition either. It will never stop competition, because new studios every day are always forming. New game studios are in development. New game studios are being formed based on how people network and connect and figure out where do they fit in the industry and what kind of games they're trying to make. So the game industry is not going to stop just because Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard. This is actually, if you really look at it, it's actually healthy for the industry when you really look at it. It keeps things in it keeps things in perspective, and it lets you know that that these studios, they have value. They have value, because think of it. Before Microsoft got in the console business, think of how many studios that came and went. And what did Sony and Nintendo do? Or what did they try to save those companies before they go out of business? Did they? They didn't. And when gaming studios were having issues, did Sony or Nintendo or Sega stepped in to try to save those studios? They didn't. They let those companies fell off. But Microsoft now bought Activision Blizzard to set an example, to let Sony and Nintendo knows that whenever a studio have problems, you don't just sit there and let the studio go down the drain. You step in and try to help them out. Like Phil Spencer said, it's not what they can do for us, it's how can we help you. You know, so these studios, they have value in the industry. So what Microsoft is doing with Activision Blizzard is healthy. It's challenging you know, Sony and Nintendo to change their ways and how they view gaming studios, but it's also challenging the industry now to come up with new gaming studio. Competition is not going to stop. There's plenty of studios that's out there that never got the spotlight. So Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard now is like, okay, who's the next studio is going to step up to the platform or to the light to get their exposure, you know? So this is actually good, man. So to me the FTC right now is just assuming, you know, because they don't realize that the game industry don't stop just because you buy a studio, you know. And those people that filed the ones that filed the lawsuit in San Francisco, competition don't stop. They need to ask Sony, okay, what happened to SOCOM? What happened to Resistance? What happened to Killzone? How comes those games are not, you know, consistent like Call of Duty? Ask Capcom, okay, what happened to Lost Planet? And then ask Crytek, okay, what happened to Crysis 4? You know, so one thing Activision has been with Call of Duty is consistency. They've been consistent year in and year out. So those studios need to adapt Activision's formula of consistency. When you make a shooter, you don't back off. You keep going with it. You know, because of your user base that you have. You know, so and so the game can grow and thrive. But other than that, man, I think Microsoft did the right thing here when it comes to the Activision Blizzard deal. I don't see how the deal does not stop competition. That's number one. It doesn't stop the game industry from growing. It really doesn't. You know, the game industry just keeps on growing. You know, because you know many people, because you know you got people in colleges and universities that's trying to get into video games, man. So those people can come together and make a game if they decide. And so the industry don't stop, man. So to me, Microsoft right now did the right thing, you know, because if they never stepped in, if they never stepped in, this Activision Blizzard deal, I mean this Activision Blizzard situation would have continued going on. You know, it would have continued going on. You know, you'd probably be in the news every day. You know, like, you know, something's always happening at the studio. You know, so Microsoft stepped in and said, okay, you know, this is not good for the industry. We got to take care of this, and they did. So now the industry can continue to grow in progress, man. But does this stop competition? Nah, the video game industry don't stop. Anyway, I'll leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek fan. Or Dark Section.